You've got to, really outline that honesty with the players and the parents, in terms of where they're at. But I used to break it down very simply as, can you stay in the building? Can you get the next contract? So in England, it's 1 year contracts up to 12, then a 2 year contract, 12 to 14, 14 to 16, 16 to 18 when you become a scholar. So can you get the next contracts? That's really all you need to be worrying about as a parent, as a family, as a player. And then just, really stripping it down to, what are you really good at? What's your outstanding quality? How can we make you the best at that? Continue to make the best at that. And how can we, work on the areas that we need to relative to your skill set, but also to, maybe the position that we think you're going to end up in without obviously pigeonholing you too early. Obviously there's some players that, you'll know are going to be a defender primarily, or potentially a winger, or, wingers and fullbacks interchange sometimes, but a striker who loves scoring goals. So really sort of working on that skill set and position specific stuff as and when they get to those ages. For me, it's just setting short-term goals. At Manchester United, for example, we used to have the pitches at Carrington where the furthest pitch away was the youngest age, and then every pitch, as you got closer and closer and closer, got you closer to the 16s, to the 18s, to the first team, and that used to be the aim. And Axel Twansby, who's plays for Burnley now, played for Manchester United, he did an article once on the Manchester United website and was talking about how Neil used to always say that, your objective is to get to there. Your objective is to, next year you're going to play in the Med Cup, you're going to play in the Floodlit Cup. Then when you get to there, you play in the Youth Cup and things. So set reasonable, measurable things for them, attainable things and really, exciting things that's still in there, that they can see, that's tangible really. Because I think if coaches and parents get carried away with what's next and always in a race, that's where the real problem comes. And I am seeing it a lot of time in academy football now that, I'm seeing certain teams, young teams are playing on a 16s pitch or an 18s pitch. Some players are going really young to a certain tournament and things. And I get that. I get if they're a good enough player and best feed best. And, but there's ways to do that internally within the club. And for me is that once you're giving it them too early is actually when they arrive at that age group, and now it's the norm to be doing what they've just done 2 years prior. Well, what's ready for them? So I don't know Max Dowman. I don't know the family. I don't know. But if he's now with the first team, is he with the first team fully? Is he a first team player now? Is that it? Or he could play under 16s football. He could play in the Youth Cup for Arsenal this year. If Arsenal say we want a good crack at the Youth Cup this year, can you play in this? Or there's an under-19s tournament here, prestigious tournament. How is that going to be for him now? His parents, his agent, him to say, okay, I know you played in the Champions League last week. I know you played away at Anfield, Old Trafford the other day, but we want you to go and play here. So that's the problem. And that can happen at 13. If a 13-year-old goes away with under 15s or plays on the under 18s pitch, well, what have you still got left to give them? For me, it's the same with tactical information. The best coaches are the coaches that know what comes next, but actually retain that information, will withhold that information, before it gets there, because that's the way that you keep them on the hook and, keep them tuned in and hungry for it, really.